All right, you ready?
Yeah,
I'm Austin Lugo.
I'm Andrew Harp.
This is With Nothing to Say.
Let's talk about our year in review 2025.
Before we get into this week's conversation, next week we'll be going and watching Kaylee Blues. I haven't seen any of his stuff before. I know you were excited to see Resurrection, even though you've heard mixed
I wouldn't
reviews.
say I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'm just kind of
You're
like
just gonna go see
I'm
it.
I'm I'm curious about it. Yeah.
Have you seen any of his stuff before? Why do you want to see it?
No. It just seems to be getting a lot of buzz. It seems to be a very kind of like uh it seems like he seems to be a well-regarded director and people seem to like this movie a lot, Kaylee Blues, if I remember from reviews.
Yeah.
Um so even the people that don't like Resurrection like this movie. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I only know about it. What I know about it is from the little Criterion clip it, and there's supposed to be a 41-minute tracking shot, so I'm
Oh,
interested to
interesting.
see how they do that
Okay.
because that sounds complicated. But today we get to talk about 2025, and I know we always come about this in different ways. So I thought a good way to start, at least for me, is I create a list of I don't know how many we're going to get through, whether it's 5 or 10 or whatever, but I did create a list just in case so we can go through that too. But I wanted to start with my stats for 2025 because
Oh
do you still
yeah,
have
yeah.
Letterbox Pro?
Yeah, yeah, I still
Okay.
have like the stats or whatever, yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of hit some highlights for me and
Right.
Henry. Henry saw 41 films this year, so I would consider that a successful year for Henry. He saw almost one
Hmm.
film week. Myself, I saw 116 films, which is the lowest year I've had since 2018. So it's been an off year for me, but I'm hoping 2026 is gonna be a bigger year. Some sort of a lot of my films came like in this last month, December. I've just kind of been on it. First watch of the year was Anatomy of Hell, which of course we did for the podcast. And my last watch was on the last day of the year, which was called Suddenly Last Summer, which I might talk a bit about in our after show if we do an after show today, because it's a weird one. Almost all of my film, of the 116 films, 111 of them were in English. So it was not a good year for foreign films for me. I think the only foreign films I watched this year was for the podcast, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And for 2 years in a row, you know, my guess my not top director, top actor was second year in a row.
Actually, I don't know. I
It's
don't
Willem
remember.
Dafoe.
Oh yeah.
That guy's
Oh
just
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
just can't seem to get away from this guy. I mean, there's just so many films that he's in. I just can't seem to escape him. And finally, my top director was Howard Hawks, which doesn't
Hmm.
surprise me. I
Yeah, I
watched a
watch a
lot of
bunch of
Howard
his
Hawks
movies.
films for the podcast when we did
Hmm.
the Howard Hawks film. Second was Steven Soderbergh, mostly just because I watched the Ocean's trilogy and I watched one other Steven
Hmm.
Soderbergh movie. But yeah, it wasn't a bad year for me. Definitely one of the weaker years, I think, as far as film coming goes. But this is the year that I've had the most rewatches I've ever watched. Almost 20% of the films that I watched were rewatches. So
Hmm.
it was the year of rewatch. I think getting into Blu-rays, getting into DVDs has made me get
You need
more
to let
into.
go. Yeah, you need to let go of like not rewatching movies
I
because
know.
I just never understood it. I've
It
never understood it.
it's
It
time
just
to
doesn't
move
make any
on.
sense.
I know for a very long time I
Like,
was very against it. I mean, you look at some of my years, my rewatches at like 1 or 0%. Like I wouldn't rewatch it at all. And for a long time, I'd only rewatch films for this podcast. But now that I have Henry, there are films that I love that I want to show him. So I think that's encouraged me more. And then
that's
of
right.
course my Blu-ray collection has grown
Yeah.
significantly in the past year. So that's also something where, and most of the Blu-rays I own are films that I already have seen before because sometimes I'll risk, especially if I'm in like the $1 or $5 section, I'll risk on something I
Yeah.
haven't seen before. But most of the time, I don't want to risk a Blu-ray that I
Yeah.
haven't seen before. Because like, what if I hate the movie and then I just own it on Blu-ray? So yeah, that's been my year in review.
Hmm.
How has your year been? What was 2025
Well,
like for you?
I ended up watching 237
Nice.
films, things, whatever. I don't necessarily want to get into like some of the statistics because I think they will tie into some of the things that I wanted to talk
Yeah,
about
for
in
sure.
terms of my like list that I constructed. So I'm not going to get into that, but I will mention those when they come around to, the stuff in my list. Which I did construct a list of like 5 or 6 film things that I liked this year. Um uh Obviously, my list is funny because I don't have anything from 2025 on the list that I was going to
I don't
talk
either.
about.
I have
But I
one.
will, but I will say, like, for 2025, in terms of movies, brand new movies that I saw in the theater that I liked, I'll run over them quickly.
Yep.
The Shrouds, Misericordia, The Phoenician Scheme, Eddington, One Battle After Another, Weapons, Begonia.
Yep.
I'm going to see Marty Supreme tomorrow.
Awesome.
I think I will see Marty Supreme tomorrow, and I'm sure that there will be films that came out in 2025 that I will see in the theater this year that I will
Mhm.
sure
Be on
I'm
the
sure I'll
list for
like it.
next year. Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, and some of those movies that I just mentioned are new movies I saw in the theater in 2025, but some of them came out in 2024. Like I think Misericordia came out in 2024. I think The Shrouds came out in 2024, which is the new David, but not the new David Cronenberg movie that I loved.
Right.
So yeah, those are like my favorite. So yeah, I'm just not going to talk about them in depth. Just kind
Yep.
of, but yeah, those are my favorite new movies that I saw in the theater. Yeah,
Yeah. Very respectful. My new movie watch was very slim, but I did watch Phoenician Scheme, which I think was a big hit. And then as we get into our list of top five, I want to hit on some movies that didn't make my top five list, but I think are
yeah,
important to mention. Coming in number six was F1. I saw that in IMAX. Absolutely loved it. I'm really glad it got the amount of love and support that I did not expect it to do nearly as well as it did. Again, I'm not one of those people who can understand like why a movie does well and why one doesn't, because I think there's plenty of
yeah.
great movies that don't do well and plenty of terrible movies that do. And I don't think F1's a terrible movie. I think F1's a very good time. I had a lot of fun with it. I don't understand quite why it was so successful. Supposedly they're going to make a second F1 movie with Brad Pitt producing. Who knows how that goes, but it was the only movie I saw this year in a proper IMAX cinema, so I think that certainly had an effect on me because seeing a movie, because there's only a few true IMAX cinemas in the country. There's only 12, and it was when I was in
Yep.
Indianapolis this summer. So it was just a really great experience. And then some others that didn't make the list: Moonstruck, The Conversation, Nothing But a Man, and One Hour Photo. These are all films that we have talked on the after show before, so I'm not really gonna hit on them very much other than to say that they were all very fun. I had a lot of fun watching them. Henry watched all of these films, I think. Yeah, he watched all of these films. Well, as much as a baby can watch a movie,
Mm-hmm.
although he's starting to get there now. He's a
It's
little
baby.
over a year old, but those were kind of some almost uh, that didn't quite make it. Are there any others that didn't make your list but were close?
Well, I mean, like, there's like a not really. I mean, like, the only thing that I will mention, I guess there's like a couple things I'll mention. So is David Lynch died in
Yeah,
2025. So,
crazy.
I feel like I have to mention that because obviously that's like a filmmaker that you and I love a lot. And
Yes.
this year I did, after he died, I did get around to finishing off all of his um uh studio films, like his feature films.
Yeah.
So I think the last David Lynch film that I had not watched was Lost Highway. And I love that movie. That was definitely one of the highlights of the year in terms of like new for me movies that I watched. Love that movie. Thought it was so good. And yeah, I watched them all. I watched all of his studio films, and it sucks he's gone. But that's kind of the way it is. But would be remiss not to at least like mention that for him for sure. I'm not really like one of those guys that's like, oh, the celebrity died. I don't know what we're gonna do. I'm not really like that way. But David Lynch, him dying, it's just kind of it's just kind of like, damn, he's
Big
gone.
deal. I mean, he's
So
one of the great artists. Yeah.
yeah, he is one of the great American artists, absolutely for sure. And but yeah, Lost Highway was definitely like up there. Um, the other thing I guess I will mention that's a bit of and I'm trying to pull it up here, is that at the Speed Art Museum, since the beginning of 2025 and throughout the year, off and on, they've been doing this great programming called Lamp Lightings.
Hmm.
And Lamp Lightings is the programming in which they bring in, usually they feature a specific director, and it's just avant-garde and experimental film on acetate. So I watched a bunch. I watched I think it looks like I watched like 27 different films
Wow.
throughout the year
Hmm.
on film. Some of them weren't on film, some of them were, but like films in this programming.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was really, I'm really happy I had the experience to be able to watch some of these. Some of the better experiences was seeing The Flicker,
Right.
the Tony Conrad film.
Hmm.
Love that. Was one of the best film experiences of the year for me. I love seeing Reminiscences of a Journey to Lithuania. That was really good. I liked I really liked watching the films of Barbara Hammer throughout the year. She's great. We saw Dog Star Man. That was awesome. I think my favorite programming though day was watching the films of Phil Solomon. His movies were amazing. Um, I loved his movies. His movies have like a texture to it that's sort of unreal.
Yeah.
He also has like a couple movies that are made in video games. He has a very famous one called Rehearsals for Retirement, which is it's made in a Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City, I believe. And it's beautiful. It's like one of those beautiful films you've ever seen. And I was really like taken aback with all of his movies. We watched five of them, and they were so good. And so yeah, I'm really glad to see that. So that's just kind of like a quick,
Yeah.
mention. That was a really big deal for me this year, being able to see all those. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, that's it.
Wow. Well, getting into the list itself, coming in at number
Yeah.
5 for me is the only film we watched for the podcast. The other four on here are not from the podcast. It is a film that has haunted me all year. It is a film that has made me terrified of the dark to this day. And every time I look in the mirror at night, I can see the remnants of this film. And I think that that speaks a lot for a film. And the fact that a horror film is even on my top 10 list, it's the only horror film on my
Yeah.
top 10 list. And it may be the first year
Odd.
that a horror film is on my top 10 list because,
Wait, did you do a top 10 or top five?
well, I'm just going to talk about the top five.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah. No,
My
the
bad.
the other ones I mentioned were part of the top 10, but I'm
Got it.
I'm
Okay,
just hitting the
sorry.
top five. So I made a top
Gotcha.
10 for anyone who's interested on my individual letterbox, Austin Lugo. But number 5 is Pulse. That movie
Yeah,
just it
I
fucking
love Fools.
fucking
That's like one of my favorite
terrifies
movies.
me,
That
man.
is like one of my favorite movies. It's so good.
I think part of it was like there's something about that film that is about sleep deprivation and about suicide and a lot of just really intense, dark topics. And it perhaps hit harder because when we watched the film, I was deep into perhaps the most sleep deprived I've ever been in my entire life. Henry was
Okay.
still little, so he was waking up every 3 hours. He hadn't yet gotten to the point where he was sleeping through the night. So I was extraordinarily tired. Of course, this is when I was working 11, 12-hour days. So
Yeah.
my life was just kind of really broken at that point, and not necessarily in a bad way. I loved every minute of it, and I'm very grateful for all of that time. But it definitely added an effect to this film, and I think I would have been equally haunted any other time. Of course, as we talked about, we did a whole podcast on it, so there's a lot of my thoughts on it in the actual
Right.
podcast itself. So I won't hit on too many of those things, but some of the things that kind of still are with me even after seeing it so long, and just thinking some of those early scenes, or the scene where she's walking into some sort of warehouse and just like the flickering kind of
Yeah.
like stays in my mind. And perhaps as I talked about on the original podcast when we talked about this film, was I had seen the remake when I was a
Mm.
kid, way too young, and that film haunted me for a long time. So this perhaps brought back some of those old memories. And the remake of Pulse is the reason that I don't like horror movies, is the reason
Right.
that for such a long time I didn't watch horror movies. So to face the original fear uh, was an exciting experience, and I think it definitely deserves to be on my top five list. It is a beautiful, haunting, touching film, and I honestly think like this film is going to live with me for the rest of my life. I don't know if I necessarily want it to. I don't know if I'm going to rewatch it anytime soon, but God, I can't stop thinking about the film. It's like one of those films that it's never going to go away. It's going to be in my
Mhm.
mind forever.
Mm. I do love it. I do love it very much. That is like one of the best movies ever made. Yep. We need to on the podcast soon, maybe this year. We should watch Cure,
Yeah.
which is another Kiyoshi Kurosawa film, and I love Pulse, but Cure might be better. Cure might be the better movie. It's scary. Oh, it's so good. It has less to do with like the internet and stuff like that, and more to do with like hypnotism.
Okay.
Um, love it. Anyway, yeah. Um, so number five for me. Again, I kind of take like a,
Yeah.
I like to do whatever. And for five, I really enjoyed watching the films of Seijun Suzuki.
Hmm.
I specifically was a really big fan of his film Branded to Kill. I really, really liked it. I think I ended up watching this year every single movie of his that is on Criterion. Which is like, I don't know, eight, nine movies or something like that. He has a bunch of movies. He made
Wow.
a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
And I recommend reading all of the um or watching all the supplemental material that they have on Criterion as well because I learned a lot about him. Because he was like a studio guy, but he was like a tenacious creative film director. So
Hmm.
he could produce films very quickly and very efficiently, but he was very concerned about the artistic element of it as well. But he was also not really interested in like making a movie that wasn't entertaining. And his movies are just so entertaining. They're so good. They're filled with like life, great characters, great action, great sequences. Uh I love watching his movies. They're so much fun. They kind of have like a noir crime element as well that I really like a lot.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was just like really like taken aback. And Brandon to Kill is probably his best movie. I mean, Tokyo Drifter is good, Gate of Flesh is good. Uh, Youth of the Beast is good, but like Brandon to Kill is probably his best one because that is his most convoluted one. It's his most kind of like artsy one.
Hmm.
Has amazing sequences that are just kind of like these like kind of like absurdist kind of like moments and stuff that are really kind of like details and moments that are just like really kind of like stick in your head.
Yeah.
Um, and so I love that movie. I think it's like so good. And yeah, I just really like his movies. And there's still more to watch. He has like a bunch of like later period films that are also pretty out there. I've heard.
Okay.
So I need to get to those as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Seiji Suzuki, really good.
Wow. Well, like I said, 2026 is going to be the year of movies for me. I've already
Yeah,
seen quite a few movies. I'm watching three or four. I think yesterday I watched like six movies. Just a
good.
crazy amount of movies.
Yeah, movie mindset.
They got that movie mindset this year, man. It's
Yeah,
this, the my job. I've gotten to the point where I've gotten into this rhythm, and I just have this time to sort of like watch
good.
movies while I work. So,
Yeah.
I'm really getting into it this year. And next on my list at number four for me is a movie I got on Blu-ray. I think someone got it for me. I don't think I bought it for myself. I think my mom might have bought this movie for me, but I don't think she's ever seen it before. So I'm not quite sure why she bought me this movie, but I'm almost positive this movie was a gift because I don't think I got it on my own. And that is the movie Sting.
Yeah.
What? I mean, Paul Newman, Robert Redford, perfect combination, first of all. The
Hmm.
chemistry between the two is just magnificent. I mean, putting those two actors together in any film is just one of the most entertaining experiences. Like just watching those two, some of the greatest actors of the 20th century just work with each other and bounce off each other is absolutely amazing. And then there's something about because the film is made in 1973, but it's like a 1920s kind of thing, and they play a
Hmm.
lot into that. So not only in the way that, it looks, obviously, in the way they dress, and of course the extremely famous music that they play, dun 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 da 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 da, that kind of like a ragtime, right? Old school piano, like just plays throughout the whole film. But also, what makes this film so interesting, and the reason that it's on my list, is it's edited and filmed like a 1920s film. And so it has this really strange pacing that doesn't feel like a film that came out in 1973. And, and I think that, like, I don't know how else to explain it other than going and watching the film, because it feels as if I'm watching an early talkie. It feels as if I'm watching a film from the late 1920s or the early 1930s, and not just the way that it looks. Of course, it's in color and it has that 1973 kind of film grain to it, but it moves at a certain pace. It moves in a certain way that those early films does. And so there is a certain patience that you have to have with it, because it's not moving like a film that came out in 1973. And it's playing with movie language and movie grammar
Mhm.
in a really interesting way. And then, of course, at the end, like that great reveal is just magnificent. I don't want to say what the reveal is. Of course, the movie's what, 60 years old now? God, 50. Yes, like 60 years old now, or 50 years old, 53 years old. It's an old movie. So I think spoilers are allowed to happen, but there's a great reveal at the end that just really pulls everything together.
Yeah.
And it made me very happy. And it's a very enjoyable film. And I'm really glad that I own the film, because I don't think it's a film that's very easy to find on things. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
looking at,
I think it's a very famous movie, right?
you think it is or isn't?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's a very famous movie.
It is, but like I'm looking at where you can watch it, like on Just Watch, and you can only buy it or rent it. Like there's nowhere to, it's not streaming anywhere, so it's not very easily available unless you're gonna buy the film. So I'm very glad that I own it on DVD, and I'm especially with like that Warner Brothers being sold to Netflix or whatever the hell's happening, or Paramount or whatever's happening. Just another reason not to have streaming
Mhm.
and to own more Blu-ray. So very grateful to own the Sting on Blu-ray, because it was
Yep.
just magnificent.
Mhm. I think I've seen it, but I don't think I've seen it since I was a teen.
You should rewatch it. It's definitely
No,
worth
I know it's overdue for a rewatch. That's for sure. Yeah, I remember like obviously yeah like the switcheroo at the end.
it.
Like
Yeah.
I think I remember being affected by that even though I don't remember all the details. But anyway,
hmm
yeah. So yeah, overdue. Yeah. Okay, number four. So this guy ended up being another guy I got to mention. Um, and now I need to check to confirm what it was. So this guy ended up being my most watched actor, and my second most watched director. So he's a director,
Wow.
actor, writer. Another
Yeah.
Japanese guy,
Oh.
Shinya Tsukamoto, which we did watch for the podcast. We watched Tetsuo the Iron Man,
hmm
one of the best movies ever. And I watched a bunch of his movies this year for the first time. I was only familiar with the Tetsuo the Iron Man until this past year.
Yeah.
And I watched one, two, three, like eight other movies by him, and that's not all of them. He's got more to go,
hmm
especially more recent movies. And I mean, I just love it. I just love his movies. I think my favorite out of the bunch besides Tetsuo the Iron Man is probably Tokyo Fist. Great boxing movie. That movie's crazy. Has
hmm
great acting. Has very like tactile filmmaking. It's just unbelievable. His filmmaking is kind of underrated, despite the fact that people do really love him and appreciate him. But
Yeah.
there does seem to be something missing. It just there does his name doesn't seem to resonate as much as people as in other in I don't know. There's just something kind of like
Yeah.
missing. Um, and he's a great actor too. He acts in all of his movies, as you know.
hmm
And I find his he can also kind of play it low key though. Like Tokyo Fist and Bullet Ballet are both very good movies and they're very kind of like action packed. But you can also make a movie like Kodako, which Kodako is about a struggling single mother. Very, very sad and depressing film. That movie is like, do not watch that movie like if you're feeling bad because it will make you feel worse. that movie is kind of unbelievable. Has crazy stuff in it. And he has the kind of like more monstery movies like, Tetsuo, and then I saw
Yeah,
Tetsuo
right.
2, which was good. You know. He has a crazy movie called Vital, which is about like a guy who he's like a student, like a
Okay.
like a like a surgical student,
Uh-huh.
and he realizes that one of the corpses that they're working on is I think like an ex of his or like a woman that he was maybe like in love with, if I remember correctly. So it's
Okay.
like a very kind of like strange like
Mhm.
situation that he's in.
Yeah.
And I really like Snake of June too. Snake of June is a very kind of like amazing movie, I believe, about a uh like kind of like this kind of like back and forth where like a woman is being stalked and then she like blackmails him, and it's just like there's some amazing stuff in which the guy's being blackmailed, and it that movie achieves a color that I've never seen in a movie before. It's an incredible blue. Um, I he achieves a color. It's just like very kind of like I can't believe.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, Shinya Tsukamoto, definitely one of the definitely a director that is up there for me as like one of my all time favorites.
Hmm.
Oh, what happened?
Just a second. My Emily turned the lights down.
Oh,
It might just be darker in this room now. Might just have to live with that. I
that's fine.
think Henry just woke up. Is that why the lights were turned down? But yeah, I'm not surprised. Tetsuo Iron Man was probably one of the strangest movies we watched this year, and
It's
and
awesome.
possibly some of the best special effects. And we saw some movies with some really great special effects this year. But
Yeah,
yeah, when
unbelievable
I
special.
think of that movie, like the special effects are just absolutely insane. And I know we've talked a little bit about some of the other stuff. I haven't watched any of it yet, and I'm very excited to get
Mhm.
into it. So I'm not too surprised by any of that. And coming in at number three for me. Surprisingly enough, this is a movie that I only saw a couple of days ago. This was not on the list when I made the list. I saw this on December 30th, right? So hitting at the very end of the year. And if we had recorded this when we were originally supposed to, this would not have been on the list. But there is this collection on Criterion, which is called Queer-Sided. It is an incredible collection of films. Films like The Children's Hour is on it, and uh, a bunch of other really great, beautiful films about, and they're basically all films that are shot in the 40s and 50s, and they're about either the gay or lesbian experience. And so it's really interesting the way they speak about it because it's obviously all of these films are very like kind and generous and can hurt a lot watching these films, especially for people who have these sort of experiences. And it's really interesting like the way they try to, because like they're working against censorships, right? So
Mhm.
they almost never say it out loud, right? They're being very
Right.
clever in the way they kind of work around it. And I think the arguably one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. I mean, just the blues and the reds and the oranges is a film called Tea and Sympathy, a Vincent Minnelli film. Surprisingly, of course, Vincent Minnelli is very famous for Meet Me in St. Louis and American in Paris, Gigi, The Bandwagon, right? Very famous for his musicals. This is not a musical. It is shot in that like super wide aspect ratio, like just
Yeah.
obnoxiously wide. And they use every single inch of this. I think one of the things that happened when they started using that format, because part of the reason they started using that format is TV was becoming a thing, and they needed something to separate themselves from TV, because of course TV at the time could only be shot in the 4:3 aspect ratio. And so they just had this super wide screen, but the problem is most people didn't know how to fill the screen. Just like in early talkies films, well, Alfred Hitchcock's, they said they started looking like plays because everyone kind of had to be standing around the
Right. The
microphone.
microphone.
I
Yeah.
think this is similar thing that was happening in the 1940s and 1950s. It has a super wide aspect ratio, but people didn't know how to fill the screen. And Vincent Minnelli in 1956 has this incredible ability to fill every square inch. And there's this incredibly deep focus from,
Mhm.
right, you got foreground, midground, background, and there's just a million things all happening at once. And the story itself is just absolutely beautiful. You know, it's about a young man in college who they call him Sister Boy, which is basically like they're calling him gay, and
Yeah.
it's never said that he necessarily is or isn't, and I'm sure part of that is just a censorship thing of the 1950s and being in America. So it's never quite clear. I think in some of these films in Queer Sided, like The Children's Hour, it's a little more direct than this film is, but it is so, I mean, just watching, even if you watch the film without any sound, any dialogue, you would be amazed by it. It is one of the most beautiful films to ever be put on film,
Hmm.
and it is just touching, and it hurts, and it has a happy ending, sort of, kind of. Some of the things are kind of sad, but it's one of those films where a lot of frustrating thing happens, and you're just kind of like you're frustrated by the whole film, right? You just want it to
Yeah.
work out, and it never does in the way that you want it to, and it's beautiful, man. I mean, I was just
Hmm.
really, I was really touched by the film, and I did not expect that going into it. This was just one of those films that
Yeah.
it was just on the collection, and it was very early when I was in the collection. So I was like, I don't know, I never heard of this film before. Of course, I knew who Vincent Minnelli was. I'd seen a lot of his stuff. I like Vincent Minnelli, but I'd never been excited by his
Hmm.
work before. I like An American in Paris. I think maybe in St. Louis is fine, but this sort of proved that he truly is an auteur. Like if he never made any other film,
Hmm.
this is the proof right
Hmm.
here. It's just it is beautiful and touching. And for anyone who has the Criterion channel, which I'm guessing a lot of people that listen to this do, strongly suggest you go and watch Tea and Sympathy because it hits hard, man. It really does.
Oh. Yeah, I got to get around to that for sure. I like Meet Me in St. Louis.
It's not bad.
I'm a
It's all
I'm
right.
I'm I'm a big fan of it. No, I'm a big fan
Really?
of it. Shut up. Yeah, I like it a lot. I think it's awesome.
I love that.
I think it's fucking awesome. Anyway, um, yeah. So you got number three for me. I'm realizing now I don't have any like Americans on my list.
It's okay. I was
Um,
almost exclusively American films, so
that's
I make up for
interesting.
it.
Hmm. I so this guy ended up being my number one most watched director at 10 films. I watched 10 films by him, and that is the Japanese filmmaker Hideki Anno. Um, I talked about him at length, of
Mhm.
course, because of course he is the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, which I did watch.
Yeah.
I watched the show, I watched the movie, I watched the other movie. They made what, one, two, three, four other movies after they made the end movie,
Mhm.
the end of Evangelion. Um, and then I watched four of his movies, live action movies,
Yeah.
Ritual, Love and Pop, Shin Godzilla, and Shin Kamen Rider. And I think like Neon Genesis, that was definitely one of the bigger things, uh, this year,
Yeah.
for me. It was, uh, I think it's like one of the greatest things I've ever seen. It's just an amazing anime show. I'm not super into anime. There's a lot of anime,
Right.
and some of it I've seen and I like, but for the most part, I don't really like go out of my way to watch it. But Neon Genesis, I mean, like if there's one to watch, it's that one. You
Mhm.
know, there are things about it that remind me of like Twin Peaks a little bit, kind of.
Really.
And yeah, there's just like it's just so memorable and it's so good, and it kind of starts off as one thing and then it kind of like switches gears to another.
Mhm.
It's just really like surprising. It just constantly surprises you. Um, and it has great, kind of robot fighting stuff in it. That's awesome, but there's also a lot of like incredible feeling. And for me, I love the end of Evangelion movie. Out of all of the NGE stuff,
Mhm.
that's like the best individual thing is the movie, the end of Evangelion movie.
Mhm.
Great kind of like 90s animation, just amazing writing, just some amazing music. The music in the movie is so good. Ah, it's just one of the best. It's just one of my favorite movies of all time, to be honest.
Wow.
And Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm not really like saying anything like crazy. It's everybody loves NGE. Like, it's a very
Yeah.
popular anime, and everyone should watch it. So I'm not really saying anything particularly controversial or different, but it's true. You just have to watch it, and it's not. It is like kind of like a time. It takes some time. Because the original show, it's like 20 something episodes, and then there's all the movies, which are
Right.
of varying lengths. The final movie, Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time, that's what it's actually called, is 2.5 hours. But that's the final movie,
Yeah.
and that one was really good too. That one's really beautiful. But I really liked his other movies too, like his like live action
Right.
films, like Love and Pop and Ritual. Those were really beautiful films, and it's kind of amazing how you can kind of see his like direction style in his animated films and also in his live action films.
Yeah.
And I also watched like a great like making of documentary of him making the final NGE movie. And he's such an asshole, because he's so particular. He's like a particular curmudgeon. And seeing him work was in that documentary is like pretty amazing. It's very kind of exposed. And so yeah, his so yeah, NGE, his movies, kind of his aura, his thing going on, it definitely hung over everything for me this year. And I think about NG often. It's just that good.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, I will say I've been, of course, I edit this podcast and I release everything onto our YouTube channel and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. And our stuff on NGE, which is several sort of short videos and then one long video on YouTube, is our most commented video
what?
we've ever done, like by far.
Oh,
Uh,
I don't want to read any of those comments. I don't want to read any of
there's
those
definitely
comments.
a range of things on it, but it is definitely the I've never seen so much love and interaction with the stuff what we do. We definitely have more popular episodes and videos than that, but there is nothing that I have never seen a group of people care so deeply as much as the people who love Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I hope they're positive.
They
I
are.
hope they're like okay.
It's been almost completely positive. It's been like a very kind community. It has not been like, mean or cruel in any way. It's been like just like a very loving, like interactive community that is just like they love it so much. Like the people who love the show more than like anything we've ever taught, right? We've been doing this for 6 years now, and this is our most like I've never seen people care so much about anything that we have talked about before.
That's interesting. Yeah,
So
it's
it's
NGE. It's that good. Is that good?
it's that
I
good.
mean, like
People love
it's
it
that
that
good.
much.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's I love it a lot.
So I'm not necessarily surprised either by that pick, although I'm not sure I'll be surprised by any of our picks this year. But yeah, I think NG is something that if not just from you, but just seeing this community of people who love this so much and care so deeply about this
Yeah,
show,
that means you gotta watch it.
I gotta watch it. I do. I don't think it's one of those shows that I can watch with Emily 'cause she's not gonna get
No,
to it. She's not gonna do that. So
maybe
it will
not.
have to be something independent of Emily, but maybe it's one of those shows that I watch while I'm working because I can always I don't have to necessarily watch movies. I can watch
Well,
TV.
I mean, like if it's 20 something episodes, you could
Hmm.
just like maybe even just like watch an episode in the morning, and then
Hmm.
that's it for NGE for the day. And then when it gets to
Right.
the movies, then you kind of have to like,
A little more
maybe
dedication, but
a little bit more dedication.
that's not too big of a deal either. So yeah, yeah, I think this is my sign that I do need to watch and get into it, and maybe this year will be the year. And coming in at number two for me, this is my most watched director, and for a very long time, I was of the belief that the greatest Western of all time was Good and Bad, the Ugly.
Mhm.
For many years, right? I saw Good, Bad, and Ugly when I think we were still in high school was the first time I saw Good, Bad, and Ugly. I've seen it many times since then. As someone who does not rewatch movies very often, although I'm trying to get more into it, that was a rarity to rewatch a movie. And every time I've rewatched The Good, Bad, Ugly, I've just loved it more and more. And I could never find it. There's a lot of great westerns that come close, like with Winchester 73. Beautiful, one of Jimmy Stewart's greatest performances, even better than It's a Wonderful Life or Shop Around a Corner. But I think this western might be better. I think this might be my favorite western of all time, and that's Howard Hawks' Rio Bravo. It just I know we talked about it very recently. We actually talked about it on the last podcast yeah, it was the last podcast because you're watching Only Angels of Wings, and we talked about a lot of Howard Hawks' films. But oh my God, it's it just it blows my mind how good this movie is. And I've been a Howard Hawks fan for a very long time.
I love it too.
His Girl Friday was very early in our podcast. I mean, I think we did His Girl Friday, gosh, like not long after Emily and I got married. It's like that, almost 5 years ago, the last time we did a Howard Hawks film. And of course, we did Only Angels Have Wings very recently, which will hypothetically be released by the time this episode comes out, but maybe not. And of course, this has the great John Wayne in it, which, how do you, it's hard to argue against John Wayne himself, right?
Right.
And
He's really good in the movie.
Dean Martin
Yeah,
gives
no,
like
no, I
incredibly
watched
good
this movie too.
performance.
I watched this
Yeah.
movie too, and I watched this movie too recently, and
Mhm.
I mean, like, yeah, like it's like awesome. It's just like a really great kind of like, uh, it's just one of those movies that like it's a movie about a group of like underdogs, right?
Mhm.
Like these group of underdogs are hanging out, and when they sing, when they do the, I mean, I love the music sequences in Howard Hawks movies. That scene where he sings "My Rifle, My Pony, and Me."
Uh-huh.
I teared up. I
Yeah.
teared up. It's just like fuck, man. Like it's just so good. Like it's just, yeah, I love Rio Bravo. I need to watch it again just because it's so it just flies by.
Yeah. It just goes, I mean, at a movie at 141 minutes, so 2 hours and 20 minutes, it doesn't feel like it should be as fast as it does. But my God, that movie feels like it's over in seconds. It just, every single second. I mean, of course, Howard Hawks is famous for that very quippy dialogue, and it definitely has that. But God, I mean, I don't know. It may be my favorite Western. I've seen a lot of Westerns. I've gone, deep, maybe not as many Westerns as I've seen noirs, but it's up there. I think it might be my second most watched genre. And so to say that this is my favorite Western of all time is it's a big deal for me. It's definitely going to be, this isn't just something that's going to be on my top 10 list for the year, but I
Yeah.
mean, this might become one of my favorite movies that I've ever seen. It's that beautiful. It's that amazing. If I can say one thing about this year, it may be a slow year for me for movies and a lot of rewatches, but I may have seen, some of the best movies I've seen in my entire life this year. So it's been a really great year of watching movies and really getting into movies that I just
Mhm.
deeply, deeply love. And Rio Bravo, my God, it's there. It just is.
Yeah, I love Rio Bravo. Um, yeah, my turn.
Your
Uh,
turn.
Number two. So this is the only movie that we watch for the podcast that is on my list. And it also kind of encapsulates the director as well.
Hmm.
And that is Catherine I guess I don't know how to say her name. Brie.
Yeah.
Um uh Anatomy of Hell. We watched
Yeah.
Anatomy of Hell.
God.
And that it might be my favorite movie we watched on the podcast this year. Uh uh and yeah, I love Anatomy of Hell. I just think it's like one of the craziest movies ever. Outside of like maybe the movies that we rewatched
Hmm.
that are classics for me.
Right.
Probably the best movie that we watched for the podcast for me.
Yeah.
I just love how audacious it is. And I uh I love just how crazy it is. I love the writing. I love the dialogue. I just like just kind of like this approach to cinema that's just all about just like what the fuck are we gonna, what is going on? Like what's going on with us? What is going on between men and women? You
Hmm.
know, you know, like what are we gonna do about it? And it's just so confrontational. It's violent. It's nauseating. And I
Yeah.
watched a bunch of her movies. I mean, I watched how many movies did I watch by her? Um, I don't know why she's not popping up. I guess I only watched four of her movies. I thought I watched more than that, but all the four movies that I watched were great. Fat Girl, Sex Comedy, Anatomy of Hell, and Last Summer.
Hmm.
There was another movie I watched by her though. Actually, you know what? I watched it like at the very end of last year, which
Ah,
is actually I watched a couple movies at the end of last year by her, which is Romance and uh A Real Young Girl, which from that title you can maybe surmise what that might be about.
mhm.
But I love her movies, man. Like they are not like for everybody, you know, like they're not for everybody. Anatomy of Hell is probably her craziest movie. Her most recent movie is Crazy Last Summer, which is about maybe I explained this to you. It's about a woman, a Title IX lawyer who has an inappropriate relationship with her stepson, her teenage
Right.
stepson.
Hmm.
So, and it was so good. I loved it. Uh, and because it's just like, it's just like, again, she's confrontational. Her movies are very intelligent. Her writing is amazing. Her writing, maybe some of the best like writing dialogue, that kind of thing I've ever heard. Um, I'm just really taken aback by her and her work. And, there's a few others by her I need to get around to, including The Last Mistress and Abuse of Weakness. Great titles, just great titles. And Romance was crazy too. Uh, and yeah, I just, again, love her movies, love her. She's crazy. Yeah. Best
Wow.
movie we watched on the podcast this year outside of rewatch stuff. Crazy to say, but like, come on.
Wow. As someone who makes porn for a living, someone who
Yep.
who writes, directs, edits porn for a living, so and mostly gay porn, right? So someone who stares at, genitalia 8+ hours a day, on the regular,
Yep.
both on a computer screen and in person and live. Anatomy of Hell still
Yep.
is way harder to watch than any of the stuff that we have written, directed, or filmed. And maybe our stuff is a little vanilla, but my God, Anatomy of Hell, it's definitely the most challenging film we watched for podcasts this year. It's probably one of the most challenging films I've ever watched, and that's not a bad thing. That's not a criticism of it. But yeah, that film is wow. That film was. I mean, that film was really hard to get through. It was
Yeah.
very challenging, and it's supposed to be, right? I mean, it's called Anatomy of Hell, and it's that's that's funny that that's your number two because God, that film just. I mean, I think about that film still, and that really says something about a film, right? As people who watch hundreds of movies a year, for a film to stick in your mind, especially literally, it was literally a year ago. I think we watched it on January 2nd, so it was like what, a year and a day ago that we watched that
Yep.
movie. So just over a year ago when we watched that movie.
Yes, Catherine.
Wow,
Catherine, keep making movies.
don't
She's like
stop.
kind of she's like semi-canceled, but like, come on, man. Like,
Just keep
I
making
think
movies.
I remember one photo on Twitter or X
Mhm.
as it's now called. Someone took a photo in New York City. They just saw Last Summer, the
Mhm.
the most recent Catherine Breillat film.
Yeah.
Uh, and as they're leaving the movie, they see Woody Allen leaving it too, and they take a photo with him. So yeah. Anyway, I don't. I just just kind of a random tidbit. Just I
The world
remembered,
needs to
but
know.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, that's it for Catherine.
Well, thank you, Catherine. And coming in at number one for me, it's a movie we talked about on the podcast briefly. A movie that may be one of my favorite movies of all time. A movie that I originally watched on my iPad, so it did not have the full cinematic experience. But I watched this on my iPad at work, and I can specifically remember the day I watched this film. I can specifically remember I was still working at the legislator. It was a slow day. There are kind of people wandering around. People would kind of peek over, right? Watch a little bit of the movie. And people who had seen the movie before, people who hadn't seen the movie before. And I get in conversation with them about the movie. And that is Paper Moon. My
Hmm.
God. My
Peter
God.
Bogdanovich.
Peter Bogdanovich. I mean, we've done a Peter
Peace.
Bogdanovich movie for the film. We did Targets.
I mean, Target's one of my all-time favorite movies. And I know you don't really like care for it, but
which
like
I wasn't a huge Targets guy when we watched it. I haven't watched it
crazy.
since. I don't know if I have a huge love to rewatch it, but I've only seen two Peter Bogdanovich films. I've seen Targets and I've seen Paper Moon. And
I've
the
seen Paper
fact
Moon too, but it's been like with The Sting, it's been I don't
a
think I've
long
seen it since
time.
I was a teen. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen The Last Picture Show. I own The Last Picture Show on DVD. So I've seen The Last Picture Show, Paper Moon, and Targets. And the crazy thing is, like, Last Picture Show and Targets, they don't really hit me that hard. Like, I'm not very excited about those
Really?
films. I
Hmm.
think they're okay. I know people love Last Picture Show, right? People fucking talk the hell out of The Last Picture
Yeah,
Show.
that's based on a Larry McMurtry novel, which I have, but I need to read. But I want to watch that movie too. But yeah, that's funny that you didn't like it. Hmm.
And it's not like they necessarily dislike either of these films, right? I talk about Targets at length. I think I talked about Last Picture Show a little bit on the podcast before, but like they weren't films that I was like really excited about. And the fact that my favorite film of 2025, favorite first watch 2025, is from a director whose work I've almost not seen, and the few films I have seen other than this one, I wasn't very excited about,
Yeah.
really surprises me because when we go back to the last couple of years of my favorite first watches of the year, they're all directors that I absolutely love, right? I mean,
Yeah.
of course they are, right? And I'm just like always astonished by these filmmakers. And so Peter Bogdanovich to me is just such like that fascinates me, and I want to watch more of his work because I mean, one of my things I was very excited about was when he did that documentary on Buster Keaton, The Great Buster, a celebration.
Yes. I love his documentary about John Ford. That one is really good.
Right, and we've talked about that before. And
Yeah.
so, he's a filmmaker that I'd never been excited about,
Yeah.
and yet,
Yeah. Which is surprises me because, one of his like one of the people that he followed around that I would say was a mentor of his is Orson Welles,
right,
one of
which
your
of
favorite
course,
directors.
one of my
He like
favorite directors of all
he did
time.
like he worked a lot with him, and he
Hmm.
wrote and he even did like interviews with him that he adapted into that he created into books
Right,
that are apparently very good.
which I
I've
haven't
never
read.
read them.
Yeah, I haven't read like the full books, but I've read excerpts in like other books
Right.
about it. And Peter Bogdanovich is a beautiful interviewer, and of course Orson Welles
Yeah.
has like this very beautiful voice and great storytelling. But Peter Bogdanovich is like just a really thoughtful. He's one of those filmmakers that I'm almost more interested in his ideas on film than I am his films himself, because he is, I I guess, similar to like Paul Schrader. Like, although I love Paul Schrader films, Paul Schrader might be more interesting as like
Yeah.
a film journalist or someone who like a film scholar than he is as a
Yes.
filmmaker
Yeah,
himself. And
he has that very famous book, the Transcendental Style of Film or whatever, Transcendentalism or whatever. Yeah.
right,
But yeah, I don't know.
and in Pierre Bogdanovich, there's something very yeah, and of course the first thing that I knew about Paper Moon is there is a book that I read 3 or 4 years ago. I actually stole from my college. Hopefully Butler doesn't call me up and ask for the book back. Not even from the library. It was like it was on a shelf, just like in one of the rooms that we met, and it had been sitting there for a while. And I'm like, I need that book. And it's something like 50 conversations with 50 filmmakers. It's a really beautiful book. I'm
This sounds
trying to
cool.
see if I can find it. Uh, Really amazing, just conversations with different filmmakers from all lines of life, right? Not just directors, but also writers and producers and editors and all these different people. And one of them is an interview with Peter Bogdanovich, and he talks about this movie, and he calls Orson Welles, right, his mentor, and he's like, "I want to make this movie Paper Moon, but I don't know if anyone will like it." And Orson Welles is like, "With a name like that, you can't go wrong."
That's a good, yeah, he's right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's a good quote. That's a good quote. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But
So yeah, I mean, I was just saying like I'm surprised that you're not like super more excited about Bogdanovich than
I know.
but I don't know. Maybe it's just, but again, you love Paper Moon, so it's, I guess,
I do.
it has
I
its
do. I
it has
mean,
its ebbs and flows.
definitely. And you can definitely see, I mean, in the Last Picture Show, in Paper Moon, and I'm sure in some of his other work, you can see the inspiration from Orson Welles, right? He does have some of those long, interesting tracking shots that are very complicated, and he definitely plays with visuals in a similar way. And I don't know why I love Paper Moon so much, but it's perfect in every way. And I think part of it is just great storytelling, great writing. And what's interesting about Paper Moon is it's really just a story of two people. I mean, almost the entire film is really just, this con man and little girl, and just the two of them just going at it. I've seen a lot of films with children in them lately for some reason. I don't know. A lot of the queer sided collection has movies with children in it, which is interesting.
Hmm.
But this is one of the greatest performances by a child I've ever seen. I mean, it is just absolutely perfect, and
Who is it? It's like
it's
it's
Tatum
someone quite
O'Neal.
famous. Someone quite famous, right? Like,
Tatum O'Neal, yeah,
yeah.
and of course the con man's
Oh
played
yeah.
by the great Ryan O'Neal. Um,
Yeah, so good. Love Ryan O'Neal.
so just really great performances. They work perfectly together, and it is just so beautiful and touching. And God, I don't cry often in movies. I rarely cry
Yep.
in movies. I don't cry enough in my life. I'm just not a big, I mean, even, the last time, the only time I've cried since I got married was the day I got married and the day Henry was born. And that's pretty much it.
Hmm.
And number three is watching Paper Moon.
Damn.
Those are the three times I've cried in the last 6 years. The day I got married, the day Henry was born, and Paper Moon. Like that's how good Paper Moon is. That movie made me cry. And it is just I don't own it on Blu-ray yet, but it is one of those movies that I need to own, right? I'm actively searching. I know they have a Criterion version of it, but
They do, yeah.
I'm not willing to pay $50 for it, so I'm waiting for a sale. But my God, just beautiful, magnificent, everything about it. I mean, it's a perfect film. I have no criticism, no comments. There's nothing, there's not a single thing wrong with this movie. It's perfect.
Hell yeah. Well, I need to get around to another one I got to rewatch. It's been a while.
Yeah.
For my number one spot, it is an individual movie,
Oh wow. Okay.
and it's for the most part, yeah, it's an individual movie. It's kind of funny, but like this, I think really was the best movie that I saw this year. It
Wow.
just when it comes down to it, it's like I don't think I saw anything better. I really, really liked, and I think you probably have seen it as well. I actually did watch another movie by him this past year. I saw it in theaters, actually. It's a late period piece of his that I saw in the theater, and it was okay. But this one was just like the best, and it's Andrei Tarkovsky's Andrei Rublev. Um, it's just kind of like it is just a perfect movie.
Yeah.
It it it,
You're
it's
right.
just it's perfect. Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of it's got everything in it, and it's one of those movies too where it's just like you have to like push yourself. You got to push yourself when it comes to watching movies sometimes because it's like I know you're just kind of sitting there watching it,
Hmm.
but sometimes you're under the impression that like okay, this movie's going to be a fucking slog. It's going
Yeah.
to be a boring slog.
Hmm.
It's 3 hours long. It's about like a painter, a Russian, random French, not French, but a random Russian painter. Like, who cares?
Hmm.
And you watch it, and it's just like the most exciting, fantastical adventure you've ever seen. It's got singing and songs. It's
Hmm.
got battles. It's got like just crazy violence, pagans, torture. Eastern Orthodox religion
Yeah.
kind of things going on. Like it's just like this incredible movie that is just like it feels like the world. It just feels like it's so big and it's just so it encapsulates so many amazing subjects and it's a movie too that is from the imagination of someone that has thought about the subject really well and has essentially had no other distractions. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like it's like you watch a movie today and it's just sometimes it can be kind of hard to feel as if like that movie doesn't come from a place that is just sort of like been warped by kind of like the modern world,
Yeah.
And there's nothing that we can do about it. We just have to kind of push through. But a movie like Andrei Rublev, Tarkovsky, he's coming from this perspective that is so like uh ancient, just
Yeah.
like a movie that feels so ancient and primordial, like came out of the dirt. And And it just comes down to it. Like that is the best movie I saw this year. It's so good. It looks good. It sounds good. It's exciting. The ending is beautiful when he holds him, like after the bell rings.
Hmm.
The whole sequence with the bell is just one of the craziest sequences. Like it keeps on going and going, and you're just like, I can't believe this. And it comes out of nowhere too. It's so exciting and it's so surprising. So yeah, I mean, like, it's again not a movie that it's not a controversial movie. Everybody loves it. But again, it's kind of a movie that it's still surprising. It's still surprising how good it is. And so I got to put it at number one because it's just like, come on, like it's Andrei Rublev.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen almost every Tarkovsky film except Nostalgia and The Sacrifice, and he's only made 7 films, so I've only seen 5 of his films. It's crazy. Like Tarkovsky is easily one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and he's like Jacques Tati, right? He made so few films in his life, and
Yeah,
yet every single film might be one of the greatest films ever made. I mean, Ivan's Childhood, Andrei Rublev, Solaris, Mirror, Stalker, Nostalgia, Sacrifice. Like most of those films are going to be on
yeah,
anyone's top 10 list. Anyone with taste, right? Top 10. At least one of those films is going to be your top 10 list of greatest films of all time. That's how good this guy was, right? This guy barely makes any movies, and every single movie he makes is just one of the most beautiful, touching. And Andrei Rublev is his sophomore debut. That's only his second feature film, and it's that good, right?
yeah,
Like his films are that. I mean, you watch his feature debut, Ivan's Childhood, and it will make you crumble that you as a filmmaker, your first film isn't that good because it's not gonna be because Ivan's Childhood is just magnificent and beautiful, and his films only get better from there. And I understand like I think going into a Tarkovsky film can be a daunting task because his films are often very long, and I think from an outsider's perspective, they can feel very slow. Something like Stalker or Mirror. I think from
yeah.
kind of outside,
I
right? They
love
can, they can
Stalker.
incredible, right? Just fucking incredible. And they are just, and I understand like why people would find those films challenging, but my God, Andrei Rublev, I mean, just a beautiful. I
Yep.
haven't watched that film. I haven't watched Andrei Rublev
Has
since,
the awesome it has the awesome balloon sequence at the very end. Oh no, at
yeah,
the very beginning. At the very beginning, it has like the hot air balloon sequence. You're just like, what the hell is going on?
yeah. I don't think I've seen this film since like 2017, 2018. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It might be due for, because I think I watched almost all of Tarkovsky's films originally, like all at once. Like I watched Ivan's Childhood, Andrei Rublev, and Solaris and Mir like back in 2018. And I watched Stalker in
Yeah, love
2022.
Stalker. Mhm.
So they might be due for rewatch. I wonder if there's a collection that I can find of his films on Blu-ray or DVD because that would be something definitely worth having. I mean, my
Yeah.
God, just incredible, amazing,
I
great,
also
great,
watch his
great number one pick.
I did watch his in the theater. I did watch like a new restoration of his late film, The Sacrifice. I don't
Uh,
think is that his last film?
that's what it says on Letterbox.
It was his last film, yeah. And it was good. I liked it. It didn't blow me away, but it was good. It had some crazy stuff in it. It's
Yeah.
very apparently it's very Bergman-esque, the movie is. So
Okay.
it's kind of like him kind of like doing kind of like a Bergman type thing.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought it was good. It had some really good stuff in it. But yeah, Andrei Rublev, best film of the year.
Wow.
A movie from what, 1966, right? Yeah.
It's the
I
best
mean, like,
film of
come on.
2025, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Go watch the underrated and unheard of
Yeah,
film.
Andrei Rublev. Yeah, you ever heard of Andrei Tarkovsky,
The underground director.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. What a great year. What a great year of cinema,
It
truly.
was pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, I was real disappointed, coming in, looking at my stats, because, like I said, it's one of my, you know, years I've watched the least amount of films in a long
Yeah.
time. There are years,
Eh,
especially like, definitely before, I mean, like 3 or 4 years ago. Oh, Emily's texting me. Yes, Hank can come in. Hank will be joining the podcast.
that's okay.
But I mean, years in the past, right? I've seen 300 plus films in a year. I've had really great years of film, and this year was lacking for a lot of reasons. I saw very few films in cinema. I think I saw maybe 4 films this whole year in the theater, right? Crazy few films. And I didn't watch that many movies, but I still watched some great stuff. I think we really hit some really amazing stuff. And I'm 2026 is gonna be the year of movies, man. I'm excited for this year.
Let's
We're
go.
gonna do some great stuff. I'm excited for, the podcast and some of the movies we're gonna watch outside the podcast. It's gonna be a good year. 2026 is gonna be our year, Andrew. The year of the podcast.
The year of the podcast. The year of the horse.
Well,
I guess that's it.
that's it. Hanky, you want to say goodbye? Look at him. Look, it's Uncle Andrew.
Hi.
Say hi. Yeah. Can you say goodbye to the podcast? Say bye-bye.
Bye bye.
All right. Well, that is it. Thank you all for listening. You can find this podcast wherever your podcast. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at With Nothing to Say. Thank you again.
Thank you.